Welcome to Connect, the monthly series to connect you with your community. In each episode, we speak with experts, innovators, and community members, and together explore themes of loneliness, social connections, and healthy aging across Massachusetts. I'm your host, Sandra Harris, the state president of AARP Massachusetts and co-chair of the task force to end loneliness and build community. Many of us have been there. I know I have. It's the time of the year when we tend to suffer from loneliness or sadness, often triggered by low levels of sunlight or seasonal affective disorder. It is also the time of the year when social gatherings play a major role in most winter and holiday festivities. Whether you celebrate Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or another holiday, these are times for gathering with families and friends, times when we have been led to believe that peace, happiness, and contentment are attainable. Nevertheless, it's entirely possible to experience loneliness or unpleasant emotions during this most wonderful time of the year. These feelings will not go away just because the calendar says it's time to celebrate. If you're feeling lonely or down during this time of the year, know that it is common and completely normal. You are not alone. Today, we have a special guest who will help us explore coping strategies to help stave off these winter and holiday blues. Aileen Gerhardt is an independent, board-certified patient advocate, a solo aging educator, and founder of Beacon Patient Solutions, LLC, and the Navigating Solo Network. In addition to working with clients to navigate the complexity of the healthcare system, Aileen writes for and offers presentations in partnership with local and national organizations. Among many other topics, Aileen speaks about navigating the holidays and challenging loneliness. Welcome, Aileen. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Aileen, tell us about the Navigating Solo Network. Who are solo agers? What are their unique needs? And what brought you to this work?
The Navigating Solo Network was founded last October as a way to have a clearinghouse, an online network for solo agers to access resources all in one location. So when I refer to solo agers, I'm referring to someone who is an aging adult, 55 or older, who either by choice or circumstance is without the support of family members or adult children. The reason that I became so passionate about this work is because I have been working with clients one-on-one, and in doing so, things like identifying a healthcare proxy or other unique challenges to solo agers, such as medical transport or intentional planning of a social and support network, were all pieces that came up throughout my work. And so I decided to dive into the work that had already been done to craft some community education and patient education programs.
So is this work only happening in Massachusetts or is it elsewhere?
No, it's nationwide. We are fortunate. I am doing work that's really building on the foundation of the trailblazers who have really explored solo aging in the past number of years. There are three individuals that have really worked hard to put that in national visibility, and I'm fortunate to build on that work.
Aileen, aging solo, is that a new concept? I have to admit, I've not heard of that before.
So aging solo is actually not a new concept, but it is something that's getting more and more visibility and more support. And the reality is the reason that it's becoming so much more visible is because we know that a quarter of the baby boomers didn't have children. We also know that we're currently in a caregiving shortage. When you put those two things together, the need for intentional planning around support becomes more and more critical. And that's the kind of work I do with solo agers. And that's the work that people do around the country, is thinking about what are the pieces that would be the roles that would be filled by adult children or adult family members to help someone as they're aging that may be something that a solo ager will intentionally need to seek out, whether that's decisions around residential living or legal planning or financial planning or healthcare navigation or advanced care planning. All of those pieces are roles that are played often by adult family members or adult children. And if, as we go forward, people are marrying later, people are choosing not to have children for a variety of reasons, all of those things mean that we will need to be more intentional about that planning and provide resources and support for people as they age.
Oh, that's wonderful. Is it primarily for older adults? Because, you know, we've already said how we're finding, and the research is showing that so many young people are also disconnected and feeling lonely. So is there at some point in time that you may have to consider merging in younger people to begin addressing some of those concerns? Or is it something that would be...
Of course. So the focus is on currently the framework, people who are aging, who are 55 plus. Though that slice of the demographic and population is thinking more about planning now than our younger generations. I gave a talk once on solo aging at a council on aging, and one woman during the question and answer period said to me, "Why didn't anyone teach us this in college?" To which I responded, I don't know that we would have truly listened in college, right? And although important to do so, but I think now as people are thinking about planning and people understand younger and younger the value of planning and of connection and of age diverse community and all of those pieces, I think the opportunities to work with people in all different generations will only enhance everyone's work. And I always say, ideally, it's great to proactively plan. Plan now when there isn't a crisis. Plan now when you're able to be around the table to have that conversation and influence and impact what you want and possibly what you don't want regarding all elements of your care plan going forward. And so people of any generation being comfortable with those conversations, doing more community education to folks all along an age continuum will only benefit our society going forward.
So how does a person who identifies as being a solo ager be in touch with you?
So I am fortunate that now, after so many community education talks, and I've also convened a network of professionals around the country interdisciplinarily who all work with solo agers, whether that's financial advisors, attorneys, retirement coaches, community educators, and researchers. And so all of those folks we meet monthly, and we have the opportunity to hear about the work we're doing, and that way it gives us the opportunity to refer individuals to other professionals who can support them.
Have you found that this discomfort during this time of the year is primarily that of solo agers? And I'm thinking in terms of the research that we're seeing where so many young adults are also feeling depressed, lonely, and dealing with social isolation. Do they experience the same type of sadness this time of the year?
Absolutely. I think, as you referenced in the beginning, things like our exposure to light and the way our days are shorter. We're spending less time outside with other people, which has been a real source of support over these last number of years. People feel more isolated, regardless of where they are on the age continuum, and therefore all different ages are challenged by the need for connection.
We know that there's a difference between loneliness and being alone. So for those audience members who have not identified loneliness or being lonely, can you please explain the difference?
Sure. So being alone is a physical state. I'm sitting alone on this chair, but I am not alone in this room. So it's being without another individual. Most commonly, someone might live alone. So that's a physical state. But loneliness is an emotional state. Feeling lonely is emotional. So it's feeling isolated. It's feeling disconnected. It's feeling that you're without companionship or support. And that is definitely a part of our emotional system that we would like to challenge at any time so that we don't have to feel lonely.
Is loneliness a continuous thing, or is it something that you just feel sometimes? Or is there a time when we want to be more concerned about it? If it's something that's lasting, or is it something that just comes and goes?
So something that's lasting, someone who feels isolated and disconnected from community over a longer period of time, it's really important to plug into resources to have support to be connected to the community, whether that's neighbors, friends, community organizations, etc.
Okay, so how can we challenge our risk for loneliness?
In an ideal way, we want to live in an environment where we have access to lifelong learning resources, to social connection, to easy access to transportation so that it's easier to get to those things, in terms of being able to access fulfilling activities. Things that nourish us also lead us to connection to other people with similar interests.
We've witnessed loneliness and social isolation, and certainly the loneliness epidemic for some time now, and even before COVID. And we all know that COVID made things worse. But is it something special about this time of the year that kind of makes things different?
Absolutely. First of all, we hear about the holidays coming in a retail cycle basically since the summer. And for those of us that the concern over connection of what are holiday plans, the focus on whether someone has a plan or does not can stir up all kinds of feelings. And so it's really important that people consider their own individual plan so that they do not feel isolated or disconnected.
So what are some ideas of things that someone can do if they're going to be alone during the holidays?
Planning is critical. Planning is critical in life in general on so many topics. It's equally as important with this one. So people can make an individual plan of a meal they might enjoy that might feel special to them, of music they would enjoy as part of their environment, a TV show or a movie or a book or a magazine that, again, is something that someone finds enjoyable. Making a plan to take a walk during the day, the opportunity to connect with other people just by saying, hi, how are you, happy holiday, etc. Spending time in nature we know nourishes folks as well. And the other suggestion is to possibly plan a virtual visit with someone.
Having a strong social support network is important throughout the year, right? Are there ideas for enhancing your social network, especially during this time of the year?
Absolutely. Social networks are critical, as you said, throughout the year, and our support systems and who lifts us up and who we can connect to when it comes to just talking about things or in an emergency, etc., are always important. This time of year, there are opportunities to just take note of connections in your community, whether that's the opportunity to say hello to a neighbor you may have been planning to do, but you hadn't gotten around to, or picking up the phone or writing an email to a friend or a connection you haven't been connected to in a long time. There are lots of different ways to explore who's in your world on a day-to-day basis and see if there are ways to enhance some of those connections. And community organizations are without a doubt an excellent way to do that as well.
Can you suggest any community organizations that can provide support?
Sure. So a variety of organizations, from community centers, senior centers, the Village to Village movement. Here in Massachusetts, we have a number of villages that are doing outstanding work and connecting folks and providing great resources. Faith communities, affinity groups. If someone has an interest in photography or an interest in art or an interest in movie reviews, one other benefit of connecting to groups like that is not only do you get to explore something you're interested in, but it also most likely will be an age-diverse group. And having an age-diverse support system is really critical and so rewarding.
Have you seen a lot of innovations and new programs that are going on, especially intergenerational or co-generational programs that you'd like to talk about?
I think that there are a lot of different resources offered online. AARP is certainly offering great classes and networks and things like that. There are ways for people to use online websites as well as take tours of museums or things like that that bring people together, even though they're doing it through a computer screen, but give people the opportunity to connect with each other.
Okay. You've already talked a little bit about technological access and staying connected. Is there something you'd like to share, any advice you'd like to give to persons who just don't feel comfortable with technology?
I fully understand that. I think that for those that have not grown up with the access to technology that we have had, and certainly its advancement over the last number of years, I can understand that hesitancy. And so there are definitely ways to connect with people individually, again, connect with neighbors, say hi to folks during a walk. But there are also real benefits by having access to that technology and ways that you can connect that are unexpected. You could take a class and meet people all over the country and all over the world. You can start playing a card game with someone across the country, or a friend or a connection you're not used to being able to do something with in the same space. So embracing the opportunity to learn more about the resources is something I highly recommend, if possible.
Yeah, we definitely do not want to leave anyone behind, especially
Absolutely.
as there is this digital divide, right? So we encourage everybody to
Right.
really embrace technology. Aileen, this is so exciting and interesting and helpful. But it's also a good time to remind our viewers of our Reach Out MA campaign, where we encourage residents to reach out to loved ones and neighbors. Here to tell us more about this campaign is our field reporter, Kasley Killiam. Kasley?
Thank you, Sandra. Back in 2020, we launched the Reach Out MA campaign to remind us all about the importance of connection and to encourage us to reach out and connect with friends, family members, and neighbors. Since then, we've partnered with many mayors and community leaders of all kinds to spread this important message and share actionable ways to strengthen community ties across Massachusetts. As part of this work, we host an annual virtual summit on National Good Neighbor Day. At this year's summit, we heard from State Senator Patricia Jalen, Encore.org co-CEO Mark Friedman, and many other leaders on the theme of forging connections in new ways. looking beyond the pandemic to address social isolation and foster friendships across the state. You can watch a recording of all the summit sessions at endlonelinessma.com/summit. And we're going to share a short clip with you now.
A national day of reflection, a day to renew our social contract, and to remember what it means to be a good neighbor.
If you want a legislator to understand your issue, invite them to speak. We have to get ready, and so we have to read your reports and think about your concerns. And so I actually read your reports, and I thought a lot in the past few days about the kinds of solutions to loneliness and lack of community that you're working on. So I want to commend you all for all your work.
Of course. And then one after another, we invented institutions which put older people almost entirely with other older people, nursing homes, senior centers, retirement communities. And soon the generational twains stopped meeting. And the turning point in this historic shift, you can actually put a particular pin in the year 1956. Lewis Mumford, who was one of our greatest social observers in the past century, he was the architecture critic for the New Yorker. In 1956, wrote a cover story for the magazine Architecture Digest. And in it, he said that we'd added years to life, but we added them to the wrong end of life. He said that no group in history has ever been so isolated, so rejected, so maligned as older people today.
And before we go on, I think we should take a moment to be proud of ourselves. Everybody here in this room today at the watch parties across the city, we've all committed in some way to breaking down these silos and building age-friendly, diverse, inclusive communities. So today is Good Neighbors Day. It's a day of celebration, and I hope when this summit concludes, everyone here in this room and at the watch parties, they leave with new people in your networks, ideas to follow up on, plans to collaborate with each other in more ways than ever before.
And since the restrictions have loosened up and people are traveling more and more, people say, I can still join in on Zoom. And I even have my friends and family join in. And for us, the staff at the Senior Center, we've expanded our reach. We've had people attend from all across the country, as far away as Ireland, England, France, Canada, and Costa Rica. And we've been able to attract facilitators and instructors from all over the country. We have 2 lifelong learning instructors. One lives in Maine and one lives in California. And I love hearing, I took a class the other day with my sister, and she lives in Ohio. So the pandemic was long, hard, but it was filled with creativity and learning. For us, the virtual programming is here to stay. It has provided us with lots of opportunities to connect with people in new ways and comfortable where they are. So we're so happy that we have that option to connect with people in this other format. Of course, we love connecting most in person, but if you can't be here, that's the next best thing.
So no matter what program you're in, no matter what you're doing in life, I think one thing we all learned during COVID is to be adaptable, to be flexible, and to continue to do that throughout life.
Sometimes people just want an opportunity to sort of freely socialize with others without sort of a formal agenda or program, just sort of cafe style, you meet up for a cup of coffee and have a nice conversation. And sometimes that's what people are really looking for. And I think sometimes we overcomplicate it by trying to program everything. So that's a great opportunity, great thing to think about.
And then we also launched exactly 2 years ago on Good Neighbor Day in 2020, the Reach Out MA campaign. The intention of this was to really promote the health benefits of connection, the health risks of isolation and loneliness, and share actionable tips for residents to reach out and connect in their communities.
I want to give special thanks to all our task force members who give so much of their time, and to everyone who inspires us to do this work. As we move to 2023, our goal is to continue sharing strategies that are working in our communities, to take a deeper dive into addressing issues and providing solutions and ideas for caregivers and the LGBT community. It is also time that we begin to look at those systemic structures that lead to loneliness and social isolation. So we hope to promote innovative, co-generational opportunities for socially connected outdoor and public spaces, for housing and transportation, all of which will widen the possibilities for keeping our residents connected.
To watch the rest of the summit and to share this important message with your community, visit us at endlonelinessma.com. Sandra, back over to you.
Thanks, Kasley. Aileen, before leaving, what is the one piece of advice you'd like to share for someone watching today who now recognize loneliness and sadness in their life?
I think the opportunity to really not overlook small social connections. So things that happen in our everyday lives, in our weekly lives, or monthly, to really take the opportunity to connect with someone in a coffee shop, in a library, over the computer, over a phone call. The opportunity to connect with someone else often changes our day and most likely someone else's day, and that really those small connections really can give us a sense of gratitude, even at a time when we're feeling extremely challenged.
Aileen, thank you so much for your time with us today. And thank you to our viewing audience. We hope you'll join us again next month for another episode of Connect. Until then, please reach out to your loved ones and neighbors, especially those living alone. Visit us at endlonelinessma.com to watch past episodes of Connect, to learn more about the task force and ways you can get involved in this work.